Morning, everyone. Namaskar and a very warm welcome. I, Shikha Sachdeva, have a privilege to welcome you all at DefSAT 2025, which is an intellectual symphony aimed at furthering potential of disruptive space technology to enhance defense capabilities, engaging defense and industry experts, government officials, investors, academicians, and scientists, centered at the theme, Integrated Space Capabilities in Multi-Domain Warfare. It's my honor to welcome our esteemed set of panelists here at the rostrum. I begin with Mr. Gautam Sharma, Managing Director, SIA-India. May I please call upon Mr. Vinaya Godse, CEO, Data Security Council, India. AVM Pawan Kumar, DG, Defense Space Agency. Dr. Subba, President, SIA-India. And Mr. Anil Prakash, please call upon Mr. Anil Prakash, the Director General, SIA-India, here at the dais. A very warm welcome once again to esteemed set of panelists here at the dais. May I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
The three-day conference will not only engage the attendees in the meticulously curated 16 panel discussions, 4 tech briefs, and most awaited in-space tabletop exercise represent the first of its kind initiative in India's space industry landscape, but also in appreciating the exhibiting innovations from the industry partners. This year's DefSAT is all the more special, ladies and gentlemen, as it strives to extend its ambit to involve homeland security. DefSAT 2025 is even more timely in the backdrop of the exemplary developments in the space sector. So very quickly, I'll just brush through a few of the rules of the advisory for the attendees here present in the hall. To kindly pick up your delegate badges, conference kit from the registration desk. And it would be really great if we join for the session on time. Feel free to take photographs and videos, and also don't forget to tag us and follow us at SIA-India and at the rate DefSAT-India, and use the hashtag DefSAT 2025. All the e-copies of the reports released can be accessed on the DefSAT website at the rate sia-india.com. Registrations are mandatory for the in-space exercise. Use the QR code at the back registration counters to register. We begin this auspicious occasion by praying to the Almighty with all our gratitude and humbleness with the lamp lighting. So I request all our esteemed panelists to kindly light the lamp.
विनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते ज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Lighting of lamp, an invocation to the ways of knowledge, constantly active through the medium of flame of the lamp to dispel all darkness. So as we have already begun the auspicious ceremony, it's time for the felicitation of our dignitaries by Dr. Subba Pavuluri, the President, SIA-India. May I please request Dr. Subba to kindly felicitate Mr. Gautam Sharma, Managing Director, DefSAT, India. Mr. Vinaya Godse, CEO, Data Security Council, India. And AVM Pawan Kumar, DG, Defense Space Agency. May I also request Dr. Subba to kindly felicitate Lieutenant General PGS Pannu, the former Deputy Chief, IDS Operations. Thank you very much. Dr. Subba, he's a technologist and an entrepreneur with extensive experience in Indian space program for over 4 decades. He's one of those early pioneers of the private industry in high technology area. May I request Dr. Subba to kindly present his welcome address.
Namaskar and good morning. I must say a warm welcome. It's so cold in Delhi now. Distinguished guests, esteemed panelists, and all the attendees gathered here today at the Manekshaw Center, namaskar to all of you. On this winter foggy morning, it is heartening to witness the warmth of very ambitious ambition that ignited by the intellectual minds seated in this August assembly for DefSAT 2025. And this is the third in our series of conducting the DefSAT now. The 3-day momentous conference and exhibition from January 8th through 10th convenes amidst a remarkable year of the space and defense sectors now. Many things are happening positively in the country all over. And it is very significant that, in fact, I must tell you that we have a SpaceX mission which has been successfully launched. And that's going to be docked on 9th, those 2 satellites in the space. And this gives us a lot of opportunity for us, for our man, landing on the moon, that program, and also creation of the Antariksha Kendra in space. And that invariably all these experiments are going to be helpful for our defense sector too, and that. I extend my deepest gratitude to the luminaries gracing the dais. In fact, Dr. Anil Kumar is supposed to have been here in the midst of us today, and who is the director of his track. And since docking is going to be done on 9th, he could not make it up for this session today. However, we have Mr. AVM Pawan Kumarji, Mr. Vinay Godse, Gautam Sharma, and of course many other luminaries now as a part of us in that. Of course, Lieutenant General Pannu, I did not mention specifically about him because he is not only veteran but also intellectual in the defense area. And he has been advisor to SIA-India and has been very kind enough to guide us in many fronts on this. And this year is the year of enhanced collaborations. This gathering stands as a testimony to an extraordinary year marked by enhanced partnerships and collaborations. SIA-India has facilitated several strategic memorandum of understandings with esteemed organizations like T-Hub, GSTA Ghana with Ghana, and Protoplant, ITA, then US Space Industry Council, AVSM, and of course Brazil Association of Satellite Communications, information related part of the ISRO Satellite Center, and the Space Industry Association of Australia, and global engagements, many more we have in this regard, with Switzerland, Italy, UK, Taiwan, Singapore, Australia, Nepal, Japan, UAE, Indonesia, just to name the few countries. We have very many more too in this. As a pivotal bridge between government and industry, SIA-India continues to foster robust collaboration through very strategic partnership with the ISRO, NSIL, InSpace, Niti Aayog, the Department of Telecommunications, and the Minister of Defense, Minister of External Affairs, the Minister of Commerce. In fact, from Minister of External Affairs, we are going to speakers also very soon. And the kind of support the Minister of External Affairs is going to give it to the Indian industry to spread their wings across the globe. In fact, there is very many things that's going to be discussed in this session, and will be very interesting for all of you on that. And our diverse membership of over 45 industry leaders ensures that we remain a unified voice of India's thriving space industry. And why you are conducting the DefSAT, particularly in this area? In the wake of success of previous DefSAT editions and the groundbreaking Indian Space War Games exercise, which was very innovative one, which was invented by General Pannu, and that's something like tabletop exercise, and you will witness the beautiful jugalbandi between General Kandare ji and General Pannu, and that will be very, very interesting on this part. And this is the first of its kind initiative in space in Indian space sector. We have expanded our scope to address the needs of homeland security as well. And this year's DefSAT is even more special given the backdrop of exemplary development in the space domain. And how do we integrate the space for the multi-domain operations? In fact, that's one of the interesting topics, and they're going to be discussed again in this. This conference comes at a crucial time as India's space growth trajectory accelerates its defense modernization and space ambitions. And we'll see this from the kind of investment that are being made in this sector by the Government of India. The Government of India has given about 24,000 crores to DRDO for this financial year, 24-25, and another 25,000 crores for defense space investments. This could be to emphasize the various needs of advanced space capabilities. So therefore, the huge investments also being made by the Government of India in this regard. So this is most welcome move. And in this regard, SIA wants to play a role between the industry and the government to make things happen positively. The theme of this year's conference, integrating space capabilities for multi-domain operations, is highly pertinent in today's evolving defense space landscape. And further also, the perspective of enhanced border management, disaster response, counterinsurgency operations, and law enforcement, and especially in India's diverse, challenging environments in this. So from this, we want to grow to be an Vishwaguru also in this regard. And I'm sure that Indian satellite community can become the Vishwaguru to the rest of the world. Because the kind of the experiences that we have in India can be extended to various other countries too, like in Africa and other countries too in this regard. And, what are the milestones for this, the DefSAT 2025? Further, the DefSAT shall also have the understanding between SIA-India and Data Security Council of India. And this aims to strengthen the security satellite communications and also develop specialized skills, building programs, facilitate collaborative projects, and conduct market research and workshops on cybersecurity and privacy. It also focuses on advocating various policies and sharing knowledge to foster secure and innovative digital ecosystems for India's space industry. Aligned with the kind of DSA's initiatives, this partnership seeks to drive innovation, build capacity, and advance policy reforms to enhance the resilience of the space communication ecosystem in this country. In an era where cybersecurity and data privacy have become critical to the space sector, this collaboration will address challenges and pave the way for resilient frameworks, showcasing our commitment towards advancing India's space sector. And therefore, let's make the DefSAT 2025 a landmark event and a beacon of collaborative excellence in the years to come. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive, insightful seminar. And thank you, and namaskar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao. It's time for the Defence Space Address by Lieutenant General PJS Pannu, who is former Deputy Chief IDS Operation, responsible to coordinate joint operations of Army, Navy and Air Force. He had the privilege of initiating Raising Defence Space Agency, Defence Cyber Agency and Special Forces Division. He's a senior advisor to SIA-India. May I request Lieutenant General Pannu to kindly present the Defence Space Address to the August gathering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Rao, for setting the stage for start of the year. One of the first deliberations that I think we are going to do on the space this year is in DefSAT 25. And as Dr. Rao very nicely put across, that I think it is time that we do a good coupling, and I think SpaceX is the one which is going to make sure that we demonstrate how the future technology is going to not only empower us through the space technologies that so far the country has been able to implement, but also the potential that it has from hereafter to bring the human space missions which are going to be empowering the future of technology as far as space is concerned. And special compliments to Dr. Rao for having provided very niche technology for this SpaceX, and wish that today was the day where this coupling was to happen, docking was to happen. But I suppose it would be happening at the same time as we start, but therefore with that happening tomorrow, we will have something, coming to us latest as we speak about the future of our missions here. Very grateful to Mr. Anil Prakash, who's the DG. Very ably, we've been able to put the third DefSAT together. Along with that, of course, the INT-SpaceX, which I'm going to be talking about a bit later. Very glad that Mr. Gautam Sharma is here. He is a pioneer as far as the Inmarsat and the provision of the defense space communication is concerned. And I think today, heading the Viasat, the new technologies of direct-to-device, and how this future space is not only going to empower the military space, but also civilian domain, is going to be extremely valuable for us. AVM, Pawan, of course, is heading the Defense Space Agency. With him being here, I think the entire value of what we discuss in DefSAT 25, is going to be all coming down to his table to be able to empower the Defense Space Agency to execute military operations, which this year we have the subject of multi-domain operations. And multi-domain operations are obviously the 5 that we talk about is the land, the air, the sea, the cyber and the space by itself. And this year, as Dr. Rao was talking about, we have got the homeland security completely meshed into the multi-domain operations, because today, as our country faces challenges on the borders, which are being guarded by the border guarding forces being the first responders, they cannot be outside the purview of any technology that gets infused into the multi-domain operations, and space being one of the main elements of infusing the multi-domain operations. Shri Sanjay Kundu is here, former DG of Himachal Pradesh. He's also been the BSF. Very kindly, the Home Secretary is also agreed to be part of the discussion tomorrow, and we are looking forward to that. And of course, we have the DS Data Security Council of India coming in, providing us a great value input into how the cyber shield is extremely important for making sure that whatever technology gets implemented, whether it is the ground, that is the terrestrial aspect of it, or in the space, I think if we don't have resilient space technology, we will not be able to sustain much, and that too when we are actually headed towards the militarization of space. So as we stand at the crossroads of the technology solutions, space warfare has emerged as a subject of discussion that is both fascinating and crucial to the future global security. We've all witnessed in last about over 3 years that how Ukraine, Russia, and US have increasingly used space for the wars. Israeli Defense Forces have a developed space war capability, which they have also demonstrated in the ongoing conflict with Hamas, Hezbollah, and Syria. It is essential to recognize that space is no longer merely a domain of exploration or scientific discovery. It has become an indispensable component of modern military strategy and national defense. Space wars reflect terrestrial warfighting principles, the strategic importance of space in military operations, and emerging complexities that come with this new, also known as the fourth frontier of warfare, is extremely important. Ladies and gentlemen, space warfare at its core mirrors the same principles that are governed in the terrestrial conflict for centuries. Commanders on the land employ military means, be it soldiers, tanks, aircraft, etc., to transmit their intent, resolve, and will on adversaries. The tools and methods may differ, but the basic objective remains the same: to achieve dominance, whether through combat deterrence or manipulation of adversary actions. In the case of space warfare, these tools are rockets, missiles, satellites, and ground-based stations that help project military might from the vastness of space. These tools allow commanders to send commands, collect intelligence, and, if necessary, neutralize threats, making command and control, that is C2, a crucial aspect of the new form of warfare. In space, just as on ground, the ability to transmit intent and resolve to adversaries is vital to achieving military objectives. However, unlike traditional warfare, space introduces new challenges. The expanding domains of space, combining orbital operations, electronic warfare, cyber warfare, kinetic operations, etc., mean that the traditional principles of warfighting must adapt. The stakes are higher, and the consequences of military actions are more complex, as the space domain is not a static battlefield, but one that is continuously evolving. and the new technologies and the capabilities are added on. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have been talking about this morning, that this DefSAT 25 is going to be talking about space warfare as part of multi-domain operations. In the modern military doctrine, space warfare does not exist in isolation. It is an integral part of broader concept of multi-domain operations, that is the MDO, which is a framework that encompasses the coordination and integration of operations across multiple domains, that is land, air, sea, and cyber, and to achieve strategic objectives. The important component of land warfare is also information warfare, which actually targets the human mind. And ultimately, it is the human mind which works or does not, or works in a particular manner, gets impacted by such technologies as space. And obviously, when you talk about human mind, the homeland security also is extremely important because the minds are actually living inside our own nations, and therefore they need to be protected. And therefore, when we talk about the internal security, law and order situation, and homeland security becomes as important as any military domain as we talk about. Space plays a crucial role in the MDO by enabling global situational awareness, precision, targeting, communication, and navigation. It serves as the backbone for intelligence gathering, surveillance, and reconnaissance, which are essential to modern military operations. Space is a strategic enabler that links all the domains together. It is the force multiplier that allows military forces to operate efficiently, respond to threats in real time, and maintain operational superiority. When you talk about real time, we have always been talking about the OODA loop. First you observe, then you orient, then you decide, and then you act. It takes very long if you continue to keep observing and can't make sense of your observation. It is going to be very difficult for you to orient. And even if you have observed and if you have done a good orientation and you can't decide because you do not know what to believe, what not to believe, is going to be a problem in decision making. So ultimately in the multi-domain operations, it is the decision making which is extremely important. So therefore, all the elements which are going to be used in decision making are most important. And when you act in a very precise manner so that you are not wasting time and wasting money of the governments of your own nations to be able to achieve the objectives with minimal cost or with as less as is possible. The space has got a unique aspect in which space strategy planning does not have a benefit of long history. Unlike traditional military domains where lessons learned from the centuries of combat have shaped tactics, technologies, and doctrines, space is still a relatively young domain for military operations. The first space-based military actions were only initiated in the latter half of the 20th century, and it is only in the recent decades that space has become a true theater of military conflict. And of course, I was giving reference to the recent and the ongoing conflicts globally. Because of this, space strategy and tactics remain work in progress, and military forces are still grappling with how to effectively integrate space into broader military campaigns and how to ensure that space capabilities are defended against adversaries who seek to deny access or disrupt operations. Space warfare are highly political by nature. Unlike traditional warfare, where the focus is primarily on physical terrain, space warfare involves a global common that is used by both military and civilian entities. The geographical landscape surrounding space is complex, and the consequences of military actions in space are far-reaching, affecting not only just military balance of power, but also international relations and global operations and cooperation in space. The militarization of space has been a topic of intense political debate. On one hand, nations recognize that the space is critical national security asset and are increasingly investing in space-based military capabilities from satellite defense to anti-satellite weapons. While on the other hand, there are international treaties, such as Outer Space Treaty of 1967, that seek to prevent the weaponization of space and promote peaceful use of space. Yet, as we are seeing today, the line between the peaceful space activities and the military operations is increasingly blurred. So therefore, in the in-space exercise, we are going to make sure that technology on one side, the military and the civilian use on the other side, the conventions and the desire that the political balance of power does not get disturbed is going to be really factored, and I think we're going to have a very interesting time. General Khandare is here, is a principal advisor to the Ministry of Defense. Of course, we are not going to be talking about a particular nation, but we are talking about any two spacefaring nations that would be possibly using the space assets to extend their operational capability from the terrestrial to the spatial aspect in the multi-domain operations. And we have General Dushyant, the DG of CLAWS, is sitting here, and General Brad, the GOC area at Chennai, who's actually the area commander of 5 states. Both have actually walked in to help us in shaping how we are going to see the future of space in warfare. There are long-term effects of military actions in space. One of the most significant challenges of space warfare is the long-term impact that military actions can have on space itself. When military operations occur in space, they can create debris, collateral damage, and electronic disturbances that can have long-lasting consequences for both military and civilian activities. For example, an ASAT weapon or anti-satellite weapon can destroy satellites, creating clouds of space debris that pose a threat to both military and civilian spacecraft. Thank you. So therefore, if the debris remains in the orbit for years, if not for decades, it can interfere with the operations of satellites, disrupt communication, even endanger human life aboard the spacecraft or the international space stations, as increasingly we are going to have human presence in the space. Similarly, electronic warfare in space, whether through jamming or spoofing, can disrupt communication and navigation systems, causing significant damage to military operations and civilian applications. The long-term effects of such disturbance are difficult to predict, but they can fundamentally alter the way nations use and rely on space. In addition to debris and electronic warfare, the military use of space can also create strategic vulnerabilities. The more a nation depends on space-based assets, the more vulnerable it becomes to attacks targeting those assets. Thus, the military must balance the need to leverage space for strategic advantage with the risks that such reliance poses. To conclude, space warfare is not just about launching rockets or deploying satellites into orbit. It is about comprehensive space battlefield management. And I think if we can understand the space battle management, we would do a great deal of work in making sure that the command and control to decision making and implementation from political to the military commander's mind brings value. And therefore, it has to also make sure that it integrates the space capabilities with the traditional military operations in a way that reflects the principles of warfighting. Commanders transmitting their intent, resolve, and will through increasing complex and expanding military means. As we continue to navigate the new frontier, we must recognize the space warfare as much as is about political power and geopolitical maneuvering as is about military strategy. The consequences of military actions in space are far-reaching with long-term effects on space itself, on international relations, and on the future of warfare. In the incoming years, as space becomes an even more critical domain of national defense, it is essential that we develop comprehensive strategies, enhance cooperation among spacefaring nations, and be mindful of a long-term impact of the actions in space. It is therefore significant to understand that complexities and risks involved in space warfare, while also highlighting the strategic, political, and long-term consequences of military actions in this domain. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In next 2 more days, we are going to see that how multi-domain operations are actually bringing a value into how the space contributes to integration of operations for defending the nations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Pannu, for taking us to the war insights of the war space. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gautam Sharma. He has over 2 decades experience in leadership role across global mobile broadband satellite operators, mobile network operators, and telecom OEMs in Asia. Presently, he is a managing director of SIA-India. May I request Mr. Gautam Sharma to kindly present the keynote address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you to SIA for inviting me to be part of this first session. I'll start with a little bit brief about Viasat, what we've been doing along with the defense forces in India, followed by the possibilities of collaboration with defense forces and industry in India. In 2023, Viasat acquired Inmarsat, and it became one of the world's largest public listed company for providing satellite communication services worldwide. Both legacy Inmarsat as well as legacy Viasat give connectivity mission critical strategic services to various governments worldwide, almost 80 plus governments worldwide, including NATO, US, as well as India. We've been in India for almost like 3 decades, initially through TCL, and now in partnership with BSNL, which is a state-owned company. We built 3 world-class gateways in India, which includes GSPS L-band, which is used by all the 3 services as well as disaster agencies for mission-critical services. We recently also built one of the world-class infrastructure of Global Express, which not only gives commercial services, but will also help defense services in the coming next few years. The GSPS infrastructure has been built by from the equipment from Lockheed Martin and the GX from iDirect. We also have built an Earth station of Inmarsat-C, which is actually used for giving safety services both to the commercial vessels as well as defense vessels. We have been, as I said, we've been working with the defense forces for a while. We support Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guard in giving L-band 99.9% reliability global communication services to almost all their vessels. In addition to this, we also help them in giving connectivity to their Poseidons, which actually helps in keeping an eye on the Indian Ocean. We are currently working with defense forces to upgrade their existing communication systems to the next level. Some of the details I would not like to share here, but we've been working very closely with them to upgrade their communication systems. I would also like to share here that Viasat is actually known for building one of the biggest satellites as well as the smallest one. The biggest satellites which we have are like Viasat 3 series, which are of the size of a double-decker and can give a capacity of almost like 1 terabyte. Similarly, we also build small strategic satellites for defense, which are of the size of a small refrigerator in a bar of less than 50 pounds, but very strategic in nature. So at the same time, we are also leaders on building encryption and data security. And once you are able to put a layer of encryption and data security on these commercial satellites, they become a very powerful communication systems for defense forces. Historically, if we see, governments spend a lot of money on making their own systems. These are expensive systems, but in the current situation, in the new modern warfare, these systems may not be able to win wars. I think the commercial systems are known for having agility. They can scale up things. The future wars are going to have maybe some millions of firefighters, fighters, but there will be billions of devices which will be connected. And that's the place where commercial satellites with the capability of encryption and data security will help in winning wars for various defense forces worldwide. Viasat also supports multi-domain resilient networks using our platforms called Net Agility Platform and Music Architecture. The details, in case if anybody wants to know, we can have a discussion separately. We believe the emergence of uncrewed autonomous vehicles in maritime, ground, and airborne domains will be the key differentiator in modern warfare operations. Last year, we actually worked very closely with AUKUS in their maritime big play, where we integrated our commercial solutions during their autonomous war exercises in Australia. We are, in fact, at the moment working with Indian Navy also, as I said, to upgrade some of their platforms so that the next quad exercises, which will happen very soon, they will be able to have a seamless communication between the quad navies. So I think these are some of the areas where we've been kind of supporting. We see multiple opportunities of industry working with defense on the space side. Small geo satellites are something which we believe will be a game changer. In fact, as I said, we as Viasat can make sophisticated payloads, and at the same time, ISRO has its very big advantages of having I3K, I4K kind of buses as well as good launching systems. So in the month of September, we actually signed an MOU with them to explore possibilities of launching small satellites built in India and for India as well as for exports. When I talk about these small satellites, these are small satellites, but having capacities of 175 Gbps kind of capacities, which are much, much bigger than the large satellites which are launched from most of the sovereign countries. And although these satellites have a huge potential of removing digital divide, but at the same time, if we can put a layer of our encryption and cybersecurity applications, these could actually become a very powerful tool for defense forces. So that's one area which I think industry will be able to collaborate with defense forces, and we're actually working with NSIL, which is the commercial arm of ISRO, as well as BSNL to look into a possibility of designing and launching such satellites from India. This also creates an ecosystem of manufacturing ground stations in India. It also creates an ecosystem of building specific terminals which can be useful for the government defense forces. Another area where we think the future lies is something called hybrid adaptive network. We call it HAN. We demonstrated this to US DoD a couple of years back, and what we believe the modern warfare will depend upon, you need to have multiple layers. It's just having sovereign satellites are not going to help actually. Usually adversaries, when they will attack, the first point of attack is the sovereign satellites, our sovereign communications. So it's important to create multi-layered intelligent networks, starting from having a layer of probably a LEO satellites, a layer of GEO satellites, a layer of MEO satellites, integrated with LTE networks, plus undersea cables. So just imagine if the adversaries attack one of the sovereign satellite, and if you have adaptive kind of networks with adaptive terminals which can work on different spectrums, even if there is an attack, it's going to be the communication will still remain seamless. So I think that's something which we see is going to be the area where we all as industry have to work collaboratively with defense forces to create such kind of a network. Another area where we see opportunities are building resilient multi-layered networks, which is a kind of a subset of HAN, which we've already started doing with Indian Defense Forces. So today they have almost 2-3 layers. We're going to build another one or two more layers for them. So I think that's something which we think will be interesting. Additionally, we also believe there is an opportunity of integrating our satellites. Like there are sovereign satellites which can give connectivity only within Indian territory. But then, everything is becoming global. Even the wars will be globally fought. You need to have connectivity everywhere. So we have to figure out a mechanism how we can integrate our existing satellites with the, constellations of kind of a, right kind of organizations or nations, how we can integrate that. Another concept which we're actually discussing with the government is democratizing LEO satellites. I think we strongly believe LEO will also play a very critical role. And currently what is happening, there are 2 mega constellations which are kind of consuming all the finite resources, which are orbital slots as well as spectrum. And what we've been discussing with the government is that India needs to have its own LEO constellation, and it could be either investing or looking at a democratized kind of a LEO constellation. We have a concept called pancake, where like-minded nations and like-minded organizations can actually build a constellation of an open architecture of satellites and ground stations and terminals. So that means in case we have, over India, we have sovereign rights of all these constellations. The designs are common, architecture is common, and it can be utilized. The TT&C controls remain with India. We can kind of utilize these satellites when we need connectivity in India, and if we have any missions outside, we can use these constellations. So I think these are few areas where we see a lot of collaboration which needs to happen between industry and defense forces in the coming years. I believe it's going to be exciting time as we progress in the next few years. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Moving ahead, Mr. Vinaya Godse, who is the CEO of Data Security Council of India. He has been associated with DSCI since its inception back in 2008. He has over 27 years of experience in information security, IT transformation, intelligent networking, and telecom infrastructure. May I request Mr. Godse to kindly present his special address.
Dr. Subba, General Pannu, Mr. Gautam, Sharma, AVM Pawan Kumar, Mr. Anil Kumar and Anil Prakash. It's really glad to be here to be part of this August gathering and be part of the revolutions that space industry is seeing in recent past, right? As we have seen that some of the industries in India are a kind of example, right? And space industry in whatever we have done in last so many years, and now the way it is private space industry is evolving, we are probably showcasing the world, and that's what we heard from some of the speakers earlier, that how this industry is now making plans for globalization of the effort that we are putting together, and creating those examples as well, right? So we know that IT industries also has similar kind of credential last 30-40 years, has become a kind of global industry. It had been able to really create those possibilities in India, create those opportunities in India for that matter. All of this prosperity that we see in some of the cities comes from the kind of effort that IT industry has put together and kind of resources generated basically. Although it was more service-based, but recently it is increasingly now looking at deep technology effort, and there are a lot of deliberations, investments and commitments which are being made to see how the industry, which is more service-oriented industry, can become more technology product-driven industry. So it is around now reaching to $300 billion in some years, and out of that, I think cybersecurity, again, it was largely services industry to start with. When I joined TCS to do a cybersecurity consulting services, but increasingly it started becoming a technology-driven kind of industry. In fact, in deep technology, cybersecurity is the most complex, most critical cybersecurity, the deep technology area, and its importance to national security is creating another specific kind of attention to this technology area. So as I see, India's cybersecurity industry is now around 20 billion plus. A significant part of it still services industry, but increasingly it is becoming product industry. We have almost 400 startups and products companies which are product company, technology company in India. We almost have security technology, almost every area of security technology, be it a quantum, be it a networking, be it application security, be it hardware security, application security. So all of the domains of security, you will see now the capabilities which are getting created in Indian ecosystem. We have a lot of researchers in Indian ecosystems. We track a research of 500 plus professors working in a cybersecurity space, and there are intense research which is going in cybersecurity part, and entire domestic industry ecosystem. If I look at, initially we started engaging with the technology company as a Data Security Council of India, but eventually we started seeing the BFSI sector for that matter, and we have seen the greater transformation happening in payment industry for that matter in the country, right? So digitization of a payment industry, individually every bank, but more importantly because of the interfaces that government of India introduced after the UPI basically, right? So we have created a kind of a good, larger global narration for digitization of the economy through the digital public infrastructure that we talk about, right? And then kind of efforts that goes and the foundational core part of that is the security, right? And we also heard from Mr. Gautam Sharma how some of the areas of security, the cryptography for that matter, is not only the constraining, not only the production and defense, it's also enabling some of the new possibilities as well, right? So likewise, we have seen some of the security foundational principles are now making a lot of those possibilities where we see how the democratization has come together, right? There's startups which are helping you to initiate the transaction. There are big global companies which are connecting to the legacy bank. The legacy bank is serving millions of transaction processing basically. It's a kind of global narration, global kind of example we have created. If digitization has to happen, this is a probably very democratized, participatory based ecosystem we can create, and that's what Globe is also learning from us, how exactly we can digitize it. So we believe that cybersecurity has come to that inflection point where it is not only to be taken care of. It's not only for defense or not for response. It can create or enable a lot of possibilities in the future, and some of the security principles, some of the cryptography protocols which is coming in, using that you can do a lot of things which you never thought about basically, right? So that is the possibility basically we see from cybersecurity perspective, and that's the reason that India's cybersecurity industry is now getting recognition globally as well. We can say that after US and Israel, India is the third largest ecosystem from cybersecurity perspective, with a 500 plus product company and thousands of services company and some of the global companies which are moving their operations, security operations, development operations, research operations to India because of the skill that we have. So one of the great part is the skills that India produces in the cybersecurity field, the computer science graduates basically. So if you see the JPMC, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, to Target, to so many global companies are moving their security, either operation or engineering and development operations to India. We may be knowing CrowdStrike, maybe knowing Palo Alto, but there are thousands of people of them are working in Indian ecosystem basically, right? So that's the benefit that we bring to the table as a ecosystem on cybersecurity. And when we are looking at this, initially as attention was largely on the technology industry, largely in BFSI sector, but eventually we started seeing the digitization push coming in other areas as well. For example, take an example of energy sector or a power sector. And there was if you look at the vision document published by most of this ministry, they talk about digitization, why this industry in those sectors has to be more digitized, more using those cloud assets. And there was a very interesting vision document published by MOPNG, which had pushed the energy companies to go more for digitization. And we are seeing the industry 4.0, 5.0 is now increasingly putting a lot of those kind of pressure for digitization of those sectors basically, right? The health sector is leveraging quite significantly because we are seeing that is one of the good example of new interfaces like a DPI will be coming in health sector. When this is happening, DSA, Data Security Council of India, also started learning these sectors on the issues of security, privacy, and critical technology in those sectors basically. And then we started adding value, and our membership base got expanded in these sectors quite aggressively in recent past. And as I see now, we almost most of the energy company are closely work with us. Most of the power sector company, most of the leading health sector organization, most of the manufacturing company, leading manufacturing companies have been closely engaged with us. And that is also enriching our experiences about how exactly security works in a different context and different environment basically. So for us, this sector has been very critical from the two perspectives. One in cybersecurity, now privacy as well, because user of these segments will be using that data, which probably may infringe the privacy right, and we need to look at the privacy side also. And we are trying to learn this sector. Last 2 years, we have been investing our effort to understand this sector. We are engaged with some of the players in this sector, with some of the agencies working in this sector, and trying to, initial days, we are leveraging what is there in this sector from the different expert, and eventually will be in the position to contribute to these sectors in terms of looking at the cybersecurity ecosystem in this sector itself basically. We know we need to probably learn the nuances of this sector and see how can we add value as a cybersecurity ecosystem, because DSA represents that ecosystem, the startup, the expert, the skills, and all the thinking that goes into this. How can we add value here? So that's something we'll be probably putting a lot of effort in coming now, and that's why this MOU that will enable us to engage with the sector more closely, more critically, and help us to understand it, and eventually we'll able to contribute with our effort and with our capability that do exist in the country. Apart from the cybersecurity, there's one key effort that we put together as a critical technology. So we also try to keep a track of the different technology which had been being developed in the country. So this is a project which was funded by National Security Council Secretariat to understand the core critical technology capability in the country. So we try to capture or create a repository of almost thousands of the product companies in India, kind of technology capability they are building, the 4,000 plus researchers, their papers, and we try to create that repository and try to understand if you are talking about some areas of artificial intelligence that you want to work, you want to look at the robotics, you want to look at the semiconductor technology, or to look at the material science for that matter, because that's one of the significant area of the domain that you work in. So almost such a 27 different technology areas basically, and at each of that we define the technology capability. Against each technology capability, we are trying to identify which of those product company which is working in the country, which are those researchers which are doing research in this particular part. So this is an effort that we are putting together to understand the role of technology, critical technology, and the role that it will play in different sectors and different contexts basically. So these are two areas, Data Security Council of India, security, critical technology, and also privacy as well. We like to see how we can add value to this sector, and with this MOU that we are signing, will help us, enable us to really actively work with the stakeholders in this sector to understand this much better and see how can we create this ecosystem for space sector security with your support and help. So with this view, we really are glad to be part of here, and probably will engage very closely and with each of you, the companies on one hand and other side, the ecosystem players here, and see how can we work together for a safe, secure space sector ecosystem in the country, at the same time creating new possibilities through security and privacy designs and architectures, basically. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you for getting us to in this ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gotse. Moving ahead, Air Vice Marshal Pawan Kumar, who currently serves as the Director General of Defence Space Agency. In his current assignment, he is handling all aspects related to space exploitation in the military domain by the Indian Defence Forces. May I request AVM Pawan Kumar to kindly present his special address.
My co-panelists, senior officers, serving and retired, and dear colleagues. Good morning to each and every one of you. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Subba and team SIA-India for organizing this seminar and for inviting me here to address this audience. And I think why DefSAT 25 is important, because as was circulated by SIA in one of its pamphlets that was moving around, it is very important, as is written there, that it is an assemblage of thought leadership to exploit or to harness the potential of space technologies to enhance defense capabilities. So this theme itself, I think it conveys a lot, and especially that we have industry, academia and strategic players here, hence the importance of this seminar. And once again for that, I thank SIA India for organizing and for inviting. Now, I think from the time first satellite was launched by Soviets in 1957, when it was the peak of Cold War, slowly as we progressed, we started utilizing space for the benefit of humankind. And so is the case with us. I would just request you, all of you, to imagine for 5 minutes what life would be if there were no space-based applications. Whether it is checking up the weather in the morning, to going for work, coming back, ordering food, mobile-based applications, swiping cards. I think it has penetrated so deep inside in each and every activity that we almost take it for granted as far as civilian use is concerned. And like it has happened in the civilian domain, similar is the case in military. The concept of MDO was covered in detail. I will not talk of MDO. But what I would say is that it is believed by many people that probably the next war may be in cyber and space, then there may not be a requirement of the conventional forces. And even if they do engage in, it will not be possible to progress without space-based applications, without space assets. I think the ideal example I would like to mention is Russia-Ukraine. Many are calling it first commercial space war. Many are calling it first space war. And this is interesting, and probably the analysis of this campaign, once it is over, will bring out a lot of good lessons, because one side we have Russia, which is a major spacefaring nation. And other side we have Ukraine, which is dependent on space assets, either on commercial players or on the Western or on the other countries. Whether you can target a commercial asset operating over Ukraine by Russia is something that probably a legal fraternity would comment later. But I think this brings out how both the countries are using space. To make it simple, because these are military terminologies, I would say that when you talk of space in military, you simply club it under the two heads. I can say space for defense and defense of space. Space for defense would comprise of three verticals. To give a very simple example, if you want to pick up a target that you want to target later, you have to have intelligence information about the target. That is ISR. Even once you target it, you do require battle damage assessment to see the level of damage that has been caused. Once again, it finishes with ISR. So it starts with ISR, it finishes in ISR. To go to the target and to drop precision weapons onto the target, you require PNT services. And in this entire gamut of operations, you require communication, and hence these three verticals of ISR, PNT and communication, I would term it as space for defense. Now, obviously, because these space-based assets are important, the capabilities are important, technologies are important, so every country wants, the adversary wants that these capabilities should not be available to the other country, and hence the requirement of space situational awareness, in which we can have the pickup of the satellites and the sensors that we want to take care of. Of course, combined with that would be passive and active countermeasures. That probably I will not talk. So space of defense and defense of space are two important assets. And like I said, since industry is sitting here, what is important is what is it that defense forces are looking for? Now, as far as ISR is concerned, I think what we are looking at is heterogeneous sensors, which is a combination of EOSR, ILINT, COMINT, hyperspectral, neuromorphic. What we are looking at is big data storage solutions. What we are looking at is AI-based edge computing. We are looking at artificial intelligence primarily for image analysis, complete automation of uplinking and downlinking operations, because that reduces our dependence on manpower. And one very nice project which was covered by Director Adrian yesterday was which I think is an excellent idea, is that they are doing, that is combining UAV imagery with the satellite imagery. I think that is a good project. So these are the kind of technologies we would focus on ISR. When we talk of PNT, I think we should be very proud that we will have the base layer constellation of 7 Navik satellites taking care up to 1,500 kilometers from our borders, operational by 2026. That would imply, firstly, it can be used both by civil and military, especially for friendly foreign countries. And as far as defense is concerned, we are looking at all weapon grade PNT receivers. We are looking at PNT receivers for all kind of sensors, all kind of platforms that are there with the services, whether it is aircraft, ships, drone or land-based. Now, when you talk of communication, I think the technologies that we are probably focusing is on integrated satellite communication grid. We do not want to be dependent on a particular satellite. We are looking at hubless, we are looking at software defined, we don't want any service to be over dependent on a particular satellite. That might be the case. So hence we are looking at mix of constellations, either MEO-GEO, LEO-MEO-GEO, a lot of studies have happened on that. So integrated satellite communication grid we are working on. We are looking at tracking and data relay satellite systems, primarily because it reduces demand to delivery time. As far as OODA loop is concerned, that was talked about. We are looking at quantum communications because of obvious advantages of secrecy. Now, when you talk of SSA, I think probably what we should look for is systems that can predict and detect weather in various orbital regimes. What we should look for, and we are looking for, are the space and ground-based sensors, which includes telescopes and radars, along with the complete network, so that the commanders can take appropriate decisions, whether it is military level, operational level or tactical level. Now, along with these technologies, of course, reusable launch vehicles, I think the advantages we need not even speak. Mega constellations I already covered. In orbit refueling and maintenance, the co-orbital applications, IoT, ISL, quantum communications. So primarily these are the technologies that will revolutionize military affairs, and hence the importance of space, and hence we want to amalgamate all this. So obviously, you know, when you talk of these technologies, what comes to mind is, where are we? What are we doing right now about it? So what I would like to mention, that lot of things we are working, lot of things, I think it is on MOD website. There are about 75 defense space challenges. Some of them have really progressed, including the Aditi challenges. Yes, there are some limitations. I think we have to have, whether it is government, whether it is DRDO, whether it is ISRO, or the bigger players in the market, to hold hands and become the system integrators. That is something that we are working on. But what is more important is that technology itself, even if we develop all these technologies, technology itself will not be able to fight a war. The technologies have to be amalgamated into the overall scheme of things, and that is why we are here as far as Defence Space Agency is concerned and 3 services are concerned, and a lot of steps are being taken into account. And I think for that, primarily seminars like this are extremely important, because like I said, this is the assemblage of thought leadership that combines all 3. So with this, once again, I would like to thank SIA-India, and I think we have an excellent seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, AVM Pawan Kumar. Now it's time for the MOU exchange between SIA-India and DSCI. SIA-India and DSCI have formalized a strategic partnership through MOU to address cyber security and data privacy challenges in the space sector. This collaboration aims to strengthen secure satellite communication, develop specialized skill building programs, facilitate collaborative projects, and conduct market research and workshops on cybersecurity and privacy. It also focuses on advocating policies and sharing knowledge to foster a secure and innovative digital ecosystem for India's space industry. Aligned with DSCI's initiatives, this partnership seeks to drive innovation, build capacity, and advance policy reforms to enhance the resilience of the space communication ecosystem. Thank you very much. We move ahead. It's time for the release of the Space Economy Handbook by SIA-India and Gateway Consulting. We are pleased to present the report titled Unlocking India's Space Economy Policy, Commercial Opportunities and Authorization for Private Enterprises by our knowledge partner for the report, Gateway Consulting. This report delves into the evolving landscape of India's space sector, highlighting the regulatory frameworks, commercial opportunities, and authorization processes for private enterprises. As India positions itself as a key player in the global space economy, this handbook serves as an essential resource for international stakeholders looking to participate in the dynamic industry. We encourage everyone to scan the QR code. I request and invite Mr. Tushar Gandhi, founder of Gateway Consulting, to the stage to join us in releasing the report. Thank you very much. May I request Shri Anil Prakash, Director General SIA-India, to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Dignitaries on dais and off dais, it's my proud privilege to present a vote of thanks in the presence gathering of our visionary and leaders, our thought leaders, General Khandare. Thank you, sir, for your thing. So this is the third edition of DefSAT 25, we already set the ball rolling for the next 3 days deliberation. And our president has, and General Pannu has already set the tone, the deliberation forward, which we are going to discuss. SIA-India is marching forward to forge a strong alliance between industry and the defense forces. The need arises as soon as we come to know that industry is hunger and aspire to work with defense. And we also found a similar desire from the defense forces to work with. What we have to do, we have to just simply bring together in simple platform. That's why we want, and that's the thought of General Kandare, that we must do this exercise and to bring these two defense and industry together in the same platform. So at least they can deliberate, they can work together, they can march forward for the next, our desire, nation desire for the aspiring to be the leader in the space domain. As you know that we already have a space capability, full space capability by the ISRO, and only thing is that the industry stand by them in all its mission, whether it is Chandrayaan mission, whether the mission and space DAX mission is also the part of the industry. So industry is ready. What exactly they need? They need a hand holding. They need a guidance. They need some kind of a guidance to how what direction they can work for. So I think this conference is just meant for that, and our conference is a business. Nothing works without business. If we have something to find the business into, that's the way we have to roll in. And thank you very much for the participation from abroad, overseas, and our various embassies representative here. So India cannot do alone things. We have to take everyone along with it. So that we have to be global by think local, but we have to act global. So that's the mantra which we have given by our leaders of the nations. So I'm really thankful to the presence gathering of AVM Pawan Kumar, Mr. Gautam, General Pannu, Mr. Gautam Sharma, for really opening this morning, the inaugural of this 3-day conference. I'm really thankful. Thank to our sponsors, our partners. We have MOU partners, more than 50 MOU partners from India and globe. We have also acknowledged partners which we work with, and we are very thankful to General Dushan to kindly agree to work with this for the knowledge partner for this DefSAT 3 edition. I'm really thankful to you, sir, for things. And we are also thankful to everyone to take out your time and in this cold morning to be here, and the hall is full. Thank you very much for your presence. I look forward to you into deliberation for next 3 days. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you very much. I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you very much, everyone. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session. I request all our dignitaries to kindly proceed for the tea session and audience, and also the inauguration of the exhibition at the RXN area, which is there on the same floor. I request everyone, after the exhibition visit and a tea break, to kindly reassemble here at 12:15 sharp for the first session to begin. Thank you very much.